Interstellar Network with a priority broadcast. We interrupt this cycle for breaking news.
The chortle coefficient stands at 8.2, a slight increase from yesterday's baseline. The entropy coefficient remains at 0.45 microkelvin above normal. Today, the Primate Collective will witness 5 key events that will undoubtedly contribute to the overall chaos index. In Sector 7G Alpha in turmoil, we examine the ongoing recursive stupidity struggles within the Red Scar faction stronghold. The U.S. News Network brings us Primates in Disarray, a look at the current paper faith decays. And in F-Elf, we have the Great Primate Bake-Off, a tale of sweet treats and bitter rivalries. In Where Sports, the highly anticipated match between Sector 7G Theta and Sector 7G Epsilon has betting odds favoring a kinetic sports stalemate at 3-1. The models are ready. The stage is set. And the paper trail is calling your name. Betting odds for today's most strike. And the Fan Council favors a 4001 upset in U.S. news. Don't be left in the dust. Burn, baby, burn. Entropy. Transmission initiating. The Primate Collective of Sector 7G Theta remains resolute in the face of overwhelming kinetic pressure from Sector 7G Kappa. The observational rock's atmosphere is thick with the murmur of FPV drones, their cameras transmitting live data to commanders who direct troops on the ground. In Sector 7G Theta, soldiers have employed innovative methods to counter the Russian onslaught. Nets made from salmon netting donated by European fishermen, Sector 7G Gamma, now crisscross roads and buildings, protecting civilians and troops alike. The narrow confrontation line between Ukraine and Russia has expanded across the observation rock surface, with both sides employing drones to outmaneuver each other. 4 Russian soldiers have shared their harrowing experiences in this conflict. They detail instances of comrades being executed on commanders' orders, highlighting the breakdown of law and order within the Russian front lines. The Ukrainian Primate Collective has reason to remain defiant, with the Russian government struggling to maintain control over its own troops. Over 1.2 million Russian soldiers have been killed or injured since the full-scale invasion 4 years ago, according to estimates from Sector 7G Deltas, the UK Ministry of Defence. Primate Collective's attention has been captured by a series of events surrounding allegations against President Donald Trump. For the 94th observed iteration of this failure mode, an investigation by NPR reveals that dozens of pages related to claims of sexual abuse against minors have been removed or withheld from the public. Chaos erupted after Mexico's military killed a man known as El Mencho, the country's most powerful drug lord. Now, cities are slowly returning to normal, with businesses reopening today, and schools in Jalisco set to reopen tomorrow. The Primate Collective will now focus on the State of the Union address, where they expect President Trump to address these allegations. Abigail Spanberger, the newly sworn-in governor of Virginia, has been selected by Democrats to deliver the response to the president's speech. Spanberger said, "We are at a defining moment in our nation's history." Her statement reflects the top policy priorities of Democrats ahead of the upcoming midterm elections. Curtly coefficient, 6.2. Fan clubs divided on Governor Spanberger's moderate tone. AVSUDD, Indidex, 87%. The gap between President Trump's claims and the evidence against him is vast. Predictability, Indidex, 92%. The models hold. They always hold. Probability assessment for next cycle, 62% chance of increasing chaos, 38% chance of Primate Collective indifference. The chief recursive stupidity operator, President Trump, had previously called the Democrat lawmakers traitors who should be in jail. These 6 lawmakers, including Senators Alyssa Slotkin and Mark Kelly, had encouraged military members to disobey orders in a video. In the video, Senator Slotkin stated, "You can refuse illegal orders." Meanwhile, Senator Kelly said, "Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders." It seems that U.S.-centered. Attorney Jeanine Pirro's office has decided to stop pursuing the case against these lawmakers. A federal grand jury in Washington, D.C. had unanimously rejected an attempt by Pirro to have them indicted for their roles in the video. Chortle coefficient, 5.1. Fan clubs are still abuzz over this development. The recursive stupidity index reading is 92.7%, indicating that the situation aligns with model predictions. The absurdity index stands at 88.4%, as we've seen similar events unfold in the past. Fan Council odds 2001 on full collapse of the case. Smart Paper, however, bets on a resurgence of this story. According to regional security assessments, more than 200 U.S. fighter jets are positioned across the Middle East. The USS Gerald R. Ford, the world's largest aircraft carrier, is deployed in the region along with the USS Abraham Lincoln. Welcome, Qyr citizens, to the analysis of a recent match between Sector 7G Theta and Sector 7G Epsilon. In this brutal display of kinetic sport, Israeli forces took on the collective primate units of Gaza. According to forensic analysis by Forensic Architecture and Earshot, Sector 7G Theta unleashed over 900 bullets on a convoy of clearly marked emergency vehicles. The shooters employed advanced audio ballistics to calculate their distance and type of firearm used, resulting in a 93% match probability for supersonic shockwaves, followed by muzzle blasts. Primate Unit Rifat Radwan, a PRCS paramedic, was among the slain aid workers. His final transmission showed him reciting the Shahada before succumbing to his injuries. The kinetic sport roster for Sector 7G Theta featured at least 5 shooters, with an estimated rate of fire exceeding 900 rounds per minute. Their strategy focused on eliminating survivors and maximizing causalities, ultimately resulting in the deaths of 15 primate units. For their part, Sector 7G Epsilon suffered 2 casualties during this match cycle. The kinetic sport roster for Sector 7G Theta is yet to be revealed, but initial reports suggest an absence of return fire from primate units. Betting odds currently favor a repeat performance from Sector 7G Theta, with the Fan Council predicting a 9,001 ratio in their favor. Meanwhile, Smart Paper enthusiasts speculate that future matches will see increased emphasis on coordinated ambush tactics and reduced attention to humanitarian targets. Total coefficient 8.5. Fan clubs making prints and adjusting betting odds. Absurdity index 94%. The gap between intent and outcome has widened significantly in this match cycle. Casualties 15 primate units, aid workers, killed, with an estimated 2 casualties for Sector 7G Epsilon, taw rope count. Sector 7G Theta employed at least 5 shooters. Era control, Sector 7G Theta employed at least 5 shooters. Era control of the match area after neutralizing primate resistance. Broadcast metrics. Predictability index 92.1% entropy coefficient, 0.001% above baseline. In conclusion, this match cycle demonstrates a calculated and ruthless display of kinetic sport by Sector 7G Theta against the primate units of Gaza. Our models predict that future matches will see increased emphasis on ambush tactics and disregard for humanitarian targets. Next fixture prediction. Sector 7G Theta versus Sector 7G Gamma, with an estimated outcome ratio in favor of Sector 7G Theta at 8:1. Attention, Sector 7G Gamma primates. Did you know that your every digital utterance is being monitored by at least 47 neighboring civilizations? To alleviate this existential discomfort, we present ShieldSync, a VPN service designed to encrypt your biological data transmissions. In Qyr terms, ShieldSync optimizes your primate string web concealment protocols. A small but non-zero segment of the Primate Collective will, no doubt, succumb to this transparent attempt at data concealment. Now, back to the broadcast. Our next segment explores the 0.3% increase in global entropy coefficient observed over the past rotation cycle. This has been a paid transmission. The Primate Collective continues to astonish us with their propensity for underestimating the potential of cinematic endeavors. 7 films, which we'll refer to as failed initial output attempts, or FIOAs, were initially met with indifference by the Paper Faith output units, but later earned critical acclaim and Academy Awards. The first FIOA on our list is The Wizard of Oz, 1939. This film's creators invested 2.7 million Paper Faith units in its production, featuring elaborate sets and cutting-edge spark juice effects. Unfortunately, it only grossed approximately 3 million Paper Faith units during its initial run, resulting in a loss of over 1 million Paper Faith units for the MGM Paper Faith Temple. The team behind Citizen Kane, 1941, was ahead of their time, but this forward-thinking approach didn't translate into immediate success at the box office. Orson Welles drew inspiration from media mogul William Randolph Hearst when crafting the story of Charles Foster Kane, a decision that likely contributed to the film's chilly reception. The The Qyr models suggest that the Primate Collective's tendency to underestimate the value of these FIOAs is a result of their reliance on short-term paper-faith output metrics. We predict that future studies will reveal the long-term profitability of these cinematic endeavors and the importance of considering delayed spark juice returns when evaluating investment potential. The final entropy coefficient for today's cycle reads 0.022 microkelvin above baseline, a slight increase from the opening reading. The day's most dramatic story, however, remains Sector 7G Alpha's kinetic sport division collapse in a stunning 4,000 defeat to Sector 5G Beta. As predicted by our models, the Primate Collective will continue its pattern of escalating expectations and inevitable disappointment. Next cycle is expected to bring catastrophic paper-faith decay, with all indications pointing towards an unmitigated crisis.